We learned this afternoon that former Vice President Kamala Harris has a bombshell announcement. She will not run for California governor next year. Less than a year after she lost the 2024 election to Donald Trump, Harris's decision has already led to the inevitable speculation that this means that she will run again for president in 2028. In a statement explaining her decision, Harris says this, quote, "For now, my leadership and public service will not be in elected office. I look forward to getting back out and listening to the American people, helping elect Democrats across the nation who will fight fearlessly, and sharing more details in the months ahead about my own plans." All right, our panel is here in the arena. CNN political director and our Washington bureau chief, David Chalian, CNN political commentator Jonah Goldberg, Democratic strategist, former senior advisor for the Harris campaign, Adrian Elrod, and CNN political commentator, Republican strategist, Brad Todd. Welcome to all of you. Thank you very much for being here. David Chalian, I spoke to one person close to Harris who insists this is just a decision about 2026. It's not a decision about 2028, and yet.
Well, and yet, as you said, speculation. Listen, I think that is true. The "for now" in her statement is doing a lot of work to fueling the speculation about 28. But Casey, I mean, just a totally different assessment politically of looking at getting into a gubernatorial race where a lot of the polling had her as a dominant force if she were to get into the race. No sure thing to victory, obviously, in 26 versus what may be an extraordinarily crowded race in 28 that is far off yet, and that I don't think she will have any ability to sort of clear in any way for herself in 28. So I do take the advisor that you talked to and others I've spoken to at their word that this is not a decision about 28. Obviously, she's doing everything she can to preserve her options, and we're going to see a lot more of her in the next 18 months than we've seen in the last 6 months. There's no doubt about that. But I don't read this as automatically she thinks she's going to jump into the 28 presidential race.
Adrian Elrod, what do you think?
Look, I think her statement speaks for itself. This is a woman who has served Californians as San Francisco DA, as Attorney General, obviously as in the United States Senate, and as Vice President of the United States for the entire nation. I think she wants to take a step back, really focus on, how can she help the American people? How can she be a part of, pushing back against some of Trump's dangerous and divisive policies without having this transactional relationship with voters, which is exactly what she made clear in her statement, that she wants to be able to go out there and fight for people without having to go through the slog of running for office. She deserves to have a little bit of space here in this moment to, not always be running for office, not always be in elected office, but also making sure that she can be a viable force in the Democratic Party and a very important voice. And I'm also confident that if she had run for governor of California, she would have won that race. But she certainly, of course, has made it clear that she wants to keep her options open.
But in keeping her options open, there's no guarantee. In fact, there's really no way. You must have to acknowledge that she would start at the top of the heap in a 2028 primary.
Well, I think she's making it clear that she's not focused on 2028 right now. She's focused on 2026. Obviously, we've got some off-year elections in Virginia and New Jersey coming up that I'm sure she will weigh in on and be a part of a big surrogate in those races too. She's focused on making sure that Democrats can get a little bit of power back at the federal level, and I think that is where her focus will be, and we'll see what happens after the midterms.
Jonah Goldberg, are you surprised by this decision?
No. I think it makes a lot of sense on her terms. Democratic Party is more unpopular than it has been in something like 30 years. And I think it makes a lot of sense if she wants to run again for president, not to be in the public eye for a while, because we have not experienced a big surge of Biden era nostalgia. There's still a lot of hard feelings out there. And frankly, if I were her, I would take a bunch of board seats and not think about running again. If not ever, then certainly not in 2028 either. But
board seats can complicate a political future.
For sure. But like I would just sort of cash in and get out of politics if I were her.
This is a 2028 move. The California Democratic Party is a bowl full of Fruit Loops. And to be the leader of California as a Democrat, she will have to become the Fruit Loop she really wants to be, as we saw in 2019. And so if she wants to run in 2028, she's got to get further from her Fruit Loop past. And she can't do that if she's
I have a slight disagreement with that. But I agree with you about California being a bowl of Fruit Loops. But who can deny that? But like as Rahm Emanuel, you need the way the Democrats are going to get back into power is by calling out Fruit Loops, is by doing some sort of Sister Soldier stuff. much fewer opportunities to sort of say, I'm not the Democrat you think I am,
Right.
and run against the brand if she doesn't hold another office.
Well, and so the thing is, and David Chalian, and the heart of the challenge that it seemed to me, Kamala Harris was this incredibly fast rising star, right? Out of California, she comes to the Senate. It's immediately clear that she's here to run for higher office, right? She's reaching out to reporters like us, right? It's very obvious. And then she struggles in public to identify what kind of Democrat she is, right? Is she going to run on the left the way that she did in the primary when she was a candidate herself, or is she
Where she
going to
did not even make it to the voting, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. She drops out before that even happens after, what people thought was a strong kickoff rally. But then, and I want to play this moment that sort of crystallized, I think, for a lot of people, the struggle that she had. Obviously, she had a very compressed timeline to try to win the election. No one's taking that away from her. But she was asked why she would be different from the president that she had been serving when she did this appearance on The View. And here's how she answered that question. Watch.
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
I mean, is she at the point where she really knows who she is, Jonah Goldberg?
I don't think so. Look, like part of the complaint about her is that she was trained up in a left-wing environment. She knew how to talk to the left, to rally progressive groups, but she had no, the term of art on the hard left is ability to do hippie punching. Right?
I've not heard that term.
Google it.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
So
I'm glad I'm not alone.
Yeah.
picking fights with the crazy sort of left, she only knew how to sort of pander to it. And that is a real problem for a Democrat today who wants to sort of reclaim the center, is to say they're not owned by those groups. And if she doesn't run for governor of California, where are those opportunities going to be?
Look, I actually disagree. I think she knows exactly who she is. I think she has very strong convictions. I think she has a record that backs up those convictions, from fighting for criminal justice reform to fighting for women and families. She knows who she is. Candidates certainly evolve. I don't want to go back and rehash the 2020 primary versus the 2024 election, but candidate positions evolve. I think, however, to your point about kind of taking a step back and being a private citizen for a while and continuing to use her voice in a very effective way, I think that's a good thing for her to do right now. If that's what she wants to do, it's her own personal decision.
So, David, we have this just in. Gavin Newsom has tweeted, Kamala Harris has courageously served our state and country for her entire career, whether it be as a prosecutor, attorney general, senator, or vice president. She's always kept a simple pledge at the heart of every decision she's made for the people. That, of course, was her slogan. Grateful for her service and friendship and looking forward to continuing the fight in whatever the future might hold for her.
They might be fighting each other. First of all, the Gavin Newsom-Kamala Harris relationship is amazing. They kind of grew up together in San Francisco public life. She was DA as he was going to be mayor, and they share the same political advisors in their lives. He has said in the past, he wouldn't run if she's going to run. Clearly, if you saw him in South Carolina a couple weeks ago, that's out the window here.
Absolutely not.
But I think that will be a fascinating relationship to watch if indeed she does choose to get in this race, as he seems poised to do.
As a Republican, I hope she runs. I hope everybody else defers to her and lets her run. Dick Nixon came back after being vice president, losing a presidential race in 1960. That's the model she should follow.
I am confident we're going to have a very robust primary in 2028, and that is exactly what our party needs.
Very robust.
Yes.
Vote for everyone in the kitchen.
Clear it
sink.
for
All right.
Kamala.